Hello everyone, my name is Gwen and welcome to JustPeachy Studies. And today I'm going to be sharing with you a video about the books that I've read so far in 2022. So I was editing this video and I realized that for some reason I totally blinked and didn't film an intro. So I'm doing that now. Be sure to give me a thumbs up if you like this video and hit that subscribe button and leave me a comment down below if you have read any of the books that I'm going to mention or if you have any recommendations. With that, let's hop right into the video. Okay, so the first book on my list and the first book I read in 2020 was
The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo.
This book is kind of old news. It was all over TikTok and like book talk and stuff at the beginning of 2020, late 2021, but I finally got around to reading it. This story follows the tales of Evelyn Hugo and her 7 marriages. This book, I will say, didn't really live up to its hype for me. I know so many people were raving about how much they loved it, and for me, it just didn't really do that much. It was a very fun read, and it was an easy read. This book I would give 3 out of 5 stars.
Next up, we have The Lying Life of Adults by Elena Ferrante.
This book is really interesting. At first, I wasn't super into it and I actually kind of felt like I was going to stop reading it, but I pushed through and by the end, I actually really enjoyed it. This story is kind of following the tale of the protagonist, Giovanna. It's set in Naples, Italy, and it follows Giovanna as she goes through growing up. So there were definitely moments of a lot of relatability and then other moments that felt very far-fetched, but that being said, I still really enjoyed this book and I would recommend it. So I rate this one a 4 out of 5. All right, so the next book I read, I actually picked up on vacation, and that is
The Beloved Girls by Harriet Evans.
This book encapsulates gothic fiction, but it also has a kind of whimsical, historical, and fantastical element to it, which I really liked. This book follows the story of a family with a very strange tradition and a lot of secrets. The story has mystery, it has murder, so I thoroughly enjoyed reading this book, actually, all the way up into the ending. I tore through it. It's pretty thick. I think I read it in about 3 days. But I will say that the ending let me down a little bit. It felt a little bit predictable to me. But that being said, I really enjoyed the rest of the book, so I rate this one 4 out of 5 stars.
Next up is one of the more philosophical books on my list, Outline by Rachel Cusk.
Outline is a very unique book in the sense that it is written where each chapter almost stands alone, but also relates to the other chapters in the book. It definitely is not, I would say, everyone's cup of tea. This one definitely tapped into some questions about what it means to be human, what we value in life, finding purpose. So in a way, it's deceptive with how short it is, how much stuff it actually gets into. I liked it fine. I definitely think I need to reread it when I'm in a more philosophical mood. If you are in the mood for like deep reflection, this would be a very good book to read. So I give this one a 3 out of 5 stars for now, and may change my rating later. So this next book is The Secret History by Donna Tartt, and I really liked this book. It's kind of a reverse mystery in the sense that you know what the mystery is literally within the first page or 2 of starting the book, and then it kind of reverse engineers back so that you figure out what led up to the characters committing a crime and why they felt it was justified. So the book is interesting because it kind of juxtaposes these heavy, dark topics of murder and crime. They're kind of also living in this college world of drunken parties and trying to get through their classes. And so that's a really interesting juxtaposition. That being said, my issue with it, I did feel like the story drug on and there were some parts of it that didn't really feel necessary to me. I get that they were about building the characters up, but it didn't really do a lot for me with that. So that's why this book is not a 5 out of 5 stars. It's actually gonna be 4 out of 5. If you have any relation to like going to a small school or interest in like classics and literature, but you also want a good murder mystery, I would definitely recommend it to you. Okay, so the next book I read is The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo by Stig Larsson. I have to say before I give it the review that I'm aware that this book was originally written, I believe, in Swedish, so I'm reading the English translation of that book. I definitely understand why reading the book in the language that it was originally written in is a huge benefit, because the writing style came off very choppy to me. Unfortunately, it detracted a bit from the story. This is another psychological thriller. It follows the story of a journalist who gets hired to write about the Vanger family history and solve, hopefully, the disappearance of Harriet Vanger, which occurred nearly 40 years previously. It's definitely a mystery, it's suspenseful, it will keep you on your toes. I truthfully would not read it again. I was totally entertained by it while I was reading it, but it didn't blow me away, I guess. So I would rate this book 3 out of 5 stars. But again, I acknowledge that I'm reading an English translated version of it and not the original. Up next is the absolutely lovely novel called Gateway to the Moon by Mary Morris. This book is incredible. This is a 5 out of 5 star book. It jumps between the 15 and 1600s and Christopher Columbus's journey to the New World, and also the 1990s and New Mexico in the United States, where a boy is growing up and is very interested in the stars and astronomy. The book kind of follows how, when the Spanish Inquisition took over, the Jewish and Muslim populations had to either convert to Catholicism or go into hiding. It's a historical fiction book. It has romance, it has betrayal, it has plot twists. I loved Mary Morris's writing style and just the way that she painted such a beautiful picture of these characters. I would highly, highly recommend this book, and it does get 5 out of 5 stars. Okay, so the most recent fiction book I actually read is written in prose as opposed to, normal text, and that is called Blood, Water, Paint by Joy McCullough. The book tells the story of this woman going through the first trial against rape. So it is a powerful book, and the character finds support in the way that her mother told the biblical stories. So they are centered around strong women who dealt with unforeseen circumstances with grace and with courage. And so it was just a beautiful book. It was touching, and I would highly recommend it. And that one also gets 4 out of 5 stars. Okay, next we're moving into the 2 nonfiction books that I read this year so far.
The first is Atomic Habits by James Clear.
This book is a very powerful book. I definitely think it will change your life for the better. This book is kind of a how-to guide to create your dream lifestyle. As we talk about a lot on this channel and on my Instagram, study habits and techniques and all of that are important, but also it comes down to your basic time management skills and your habits that you have. This book will help you achieve those habits. So this is definitely a book that I would recommend reading. 5 out of 5 stars for Atomic Habits.
And finally, I have Period Power by Maisie Hill.
Anyone out there who has a uterus, this is the book I would recommend for you. Not only does it take an incredibly in-depth look at all things menstruation, periods, birth control, this book gave me more information within its pages than I ever got in sex ed in school, and really gave me more knowledge about my body and how it works so that I can better advocate for myself. Maisie Hill provides an alternative viewpoint. She definitely takes a more naturalist, holistic viewpoint of menstruation than a lot of Western medicine does. Highly, highly recommend. 5 stars. Okay, so those are all of the books that I've read so far in 2022. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know if you've read any of those books in the comments down below. I'd love to know your opinions on them. And if you have any recommendations for the second half of the year, I'd love to hear them. Make sure to check me out again on Instagram at JustPeachy Studies to get more frequent updates, and I will see you all next time. Bye!